Hey, class of 2026, Dr. Richardson here. So excited to see you. I hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend. And do you notice something different about my background? Well, I can definitely notice something different about my hair. But anyway, this is the battery. And the battery is pretty close to me. And I have enjoyed walking up to the battery this summer. So there's a restaurant there that I would often go in the morning and I would get a cup of coffee or I would end up getting a bagel. So it was a lot of fun. So I just wanted to share that little fun fact with you. So now we're going to get into our lesson. I hope you enjoy the discipline video that Mr. Langston prepared for you. So now we're going to start the Wildcat Wellness lesson. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to share the screen. Sometimes it takes a minute to figure out how all this works. So we're going to go with this. So hopefully the second step lesson is going to come up, which it has. Okay. You're getting to learn so many different things, guys. It's just so awesome. Okay. So this is a little bit different. They've updated the second step lesson, but it's pretty much the same. There's just some little bit of nuances. So getting into this. So this lesson is about creating new pathways in your brain. And I feel like we've covered this before in a previous lesson, but this one goes into a little bit more detail for you. Before we get started on that, I want to show you something that I think is kind of cool that might make the lesson a little bit more engaging. It's this student handout that I have actually sent a link to your teachers, but it's also in the lesson that all your teachers have access to. And it's just a way for you guys to express yourself in writing, because one of the things that we want to encourage you is to engage in these lessons. And to engage in these lessons, you can either do it, verbally, or you can do it in the written form through the chat or different ways. So this is another opportunity through the student handout to express yourselves in written form. One other thing that I want to encourage you, I think it'd be awesome if you guys could either in your notebook leave a section that could just be for Wildcat Wellness, or you can even buy your own separate notebook and you can write down some of these prompts and then some of your responses. Because I think, maybe in 10 or 15 years from now, let's say you keep your notebook and you go back and you pull this out and you're like, wow, I thought this way in 7th grade and look what I'm doing now. It might be a good way to just remember a lot how you started to learn who you are and figure yourself out. You can see the way you thought in 7th grade. You can see how much you've grown. So just a thought, just let me throw it out there at you. So here is the student handout, and obviously you can put your name up here. So I'm going to put my name. Look, I didn't make a single typo, which is lovely. So I'm going to do this first warm up with you. So what's one thing you've worked hard to get better at? And one thing that right now that I've been working really hard to get better at is technology. Technology can be frustrating. I'm sure you guys have found out, because there's so many things that are actually outside your control with technology. But one of the things that I'm working hard to get better at is trying to make it a little bit more interactive or engaging. And so one way that I wanted to do that was through a Bitmoji classroom. So I worked hard on that last week, and it's actually up on the blog. So if you guys want to go check it out, I put some kind of cool things in there. So that's just how you can fill that out, and it's a good way to exercise and improve your writing skills, to help you verbalize your thoughts and your feelings. So let's go back to the second step lesson. And so we're going to actually start the lesson. And we're going to go, I've actually done this warm up with you, but I'm going to just read this. Creating new pathways in your brain. In this lesson, we'll learn how to grow our brains and get better at something new. And honestly, we're all in something new right now. In fact, this is the first time ever that we know of any civilization that has gone remote with so many different things and is all in a remote setting. So this is something that is new for everybody, not just you or your teachers, but for everybody. So it's a lot going on right now. So I hope we can all look at this as an opportunity to grow our brains and to think how much better once this is done, how much stronger and more connected we're going to be. So here's the first warm up. And like I said, I've already done this with you. So my encouragement is for you guys to write this out, like in a section of your notebook or on that worksheet, or however you guys want to do this. So we'll give you a second to pause. So what does it mean to grow your brain? What does this actually mean? When we're learning something new, our brains goes through physical changes. So I'm going to read something to you because I think it does a much better job of explaining it than I could. And I don't have my lights on right now because it's hard to see. But I'm going to read this to you. So scientists have found that people learn new things better and faster just by doing them. And that's the part that I like about it. Nowhere in there did it say you have to do it well the first time. No, it just says by trying it, just by doing it. So, so when we're learning something new, our brains actually grow and make physical changes. And I'm going to explain, and this video is going to actually do a better job than I am doing, but we're going to explain to you how that happens. And I want you to realize that when you're learning something new, a lot of the times we feel like frustration or we feel these different things because it's hard. Our brain's having to work. And that's actually a sign that your brain is growing. So when you feel that frustration, instead of saying, oh man, this is hard, I can't do this. No, realize that your brain's growing. Don't stop the growth, man. Keep pushing through. So, so here's something I thought was cool. Our brains have about 86 billion, and that's with a B, not with an M, billion special cells, and these are called neurons. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to, this first little tab says a neuron is a cell that sends and receives signals in your brain. So I'm going to show you what one looks like. This is actually what it looks like. This is an example, and you see how it's got these different connections coming from it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but this is really important, are these different connections. So now we're going to talk about a neural pathway, and you're going to see this is the second step in your brain growing. It's a connection. See these different connections? It's a connection of neurons that form, and these form when you repeat an action or thought, because the more of these that you have, the faster your brain's going to operate, and it goes through practice. Okay, pretty interesting, huh? So that's a definition. So how do you strengthen these neural pathways? Well, the more we try new and challenging things, the more neural pathways we make. The more we practice something, the stronger and faster these pathways become. So think about right now, what kind of things have you practiced getting better at this week? You may have done a game and you were able to make it to a new level, or you tried this tool, or you did this advancement and you were able to become faster at it. So give some examples, write it in your book, however you want to do it. So we're going to pause and let you guys do that. So now I'm going to show you this video, and this video is actually going to go through, it's short, but it's pretty good and it explains the process pretty well.
There are billions and billions of neurons, and they all have branches that reach out. When the branches get close enough, they're connected and energy zings along the pathways they make. Making these connections is what we're wired for. When you learn something new, the neurons grow and connect. They make an actual path for thinking and remembering. The more work you do, like trying new things and pushing yourself to ask questions, and even failing at stuff and trying again, the more connections and paths you make. That's how you learn to do things. That's how you grow your brain.
Pretty cool. You know, how on earth do you think failing at something could actually be good for your brain? I think that'd be something really cool for you guys to take a second and talk about. All right, so discussion. What are some things mentioned in the video that you can do to grow your brain? And we just talked about failure. What about playing music? You know, what about the different things? So just take a second and think about that and discuss that. Write it in your book or however you guys want to do that. Okay, so we've all played this, right? Rock, paper, scissors. Well, this is a little bit different, and you're going to play it against yourself. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to take turns playing this game, and you're going to count how many times you're able to make a different sign with each hand. Like if you make a different sign, that'd be 2, right? So you're going to count to see how many that you can do. So you remember when you played this game, rock beat what? What did rock beat? Rock beat scissors, right? So this is rock and this is scissors. So paper, what did paper beat? Do you remember? Paper beat rock. So this is paper and this is rock. Remember that? And what about scissors? What yeah, you're right. You got it. Scissors beats paper, okay? So the way you're going to play this is you got your 2 hands, right? So your left hand, which is this one, your left hand always has to win. Always has to win. I'm just going to demonstrate this one time, and then then you guys can do this on your own. So, so this hand has to win, and I'm going to do both of them. All right. So 1, 2, 3. So which one won? My left hand. Why? Because scissors beats paper. So you guys are going to go through that, and you're going to count how many times you're able to make a different sign with each hand. So, and the thing is, I want to see if you catch that. It's at the latter part, able to make a different sign with each hand. Okay. So what did you notice about your ability to play the game as you continue to practice? Did you find it easier, or what did you find? So I want you guys to talk about that amongst yourselves. This is the most important thing about this lesson. But I know you guys, a lot of you are feeling frustrated, or it's hard, or it feels hard to you, but just know that your brain is growing. So how does practicing something new and difficult, think about how you feel when something's new and it's difficult. How does that help grow your brain? And I want you to write it out. And then I would love for you to give an example. Write it out and then give an example of a time that you practiced something new and difficult, and how you got better at it and how it became easier. And I want you to also include in this the process that we explained. So, and then what I want you to do is, once you've done that, once you've summarized this whole lesson, here's the part that I want you to, that I think is really important. I want you to apply. Like, what right now in your academic life is really difficult for you, and it's very challenging for you. And I want you to write it down, what that is. Let's say it's playing music. Well, how can you practice? Like, can you practice, how can you practice to make it easier? And how can you apply what you learned today towards that one thing that's difficult? So until we meet again, Dr. Richardson here, class of 2026. Remember, if you need to see me for any reason, go to the blog and you can request an appointment. I'd love to see you, love to spend time with you, just to catch up with you. So I hope all is well, and see you soon. Bye-bye.